Hi ladies, happy Friday. I wanted to share another tutorial with you. This is for altered wood frames. You can get these frames at Michael's. They're 99 cents. And this is what I do to them. A lot of people paint them and do different things, but I like to cover them with paper and then put embellishments on them. And I give these as gifts. They're pretty quick and easy to make, and you can customize it for the person that you're giving it to. So let's get started. I'm going to decorate this one today for the tutorial, and I'm going to use this paper. This is the Kazoo line by K & Company, and I'm going to use this stripe. So the first thing that I do is I measure the edge of my board, and I do that because I cover the edge of the board all the way around so that it looks finished. So that's going to be the first thing that you need to do. So this is, I think this is 5/8 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 3 strips off of my 12 by 12 paper. Okay, so I'm cutting my paper, and it's actually a 1/2 inch, not 5/8. I cut a 5/8 piece and it was a little too big, so I cut it down to a 1/2 inch. So I have my 3 strips at a 1/2 inch, and these are going to be the outside edge of my frame. So I'm going to put these to the side, and then I'm going to get my frame and my paper, and I'm going to, on my paper, what I did was I wanted the stripes to be centered on here. I wanted the red stripe to be equal on each end, so I pre-cut the paper. Normally I wouldn't do this. Normally I would just take the rest of the paper that I had left after cutting my strips, and I would just put the frame right up to the edge when I put it down, and then I would still have a really nice piece left that I could use for scrapbooking or something else. But I wanted to center my stripes on my frame, so I actually pre-did that. So the next step is I'm going to use this Mod Podge, and I like the green acid-free paper Mod Podge, but you can use any type, it doesn't matter. And what I'm going to do is open it up, and I use one of these little foam brushes, and I just dip it in, and I just cover my frame. And you want to work kind of quick because you don't want it to dry. I don't put a really thick layer on. I cover it, but I don't want it to be super thick because sometimes if you get it too thick, your paper will warp a little bit, and I don't want that to happen. So I make sure that I cover it. I do a nice coat on it, but I don't do a super thick coat. And you want to get, sorry, I was out of frame there for a minute. You want to get all of it covered the best you can. Looks like I got it pretty good. And then what I'm going to do, because I pre-cut it, I'm going to take my paper and set it right on top of the frame and try and get it lined up the best I can, and then I'm going to flip it. Okay, so my frame is dry, and I took my X-Acto knife and I cut out the heart in the center. I just turned it over and just used my X-Acto blade and just ran it right along the edge on the inside, and I cut the heart out. So then you can use this paper for something else down the line. Okay, so the next thing that I do is I take my sanders, and I'll sand the inside of the heart to get this edge to be clean, and I'll sand all the way around the edge of the frame to do the same thing. So basically it just finishes the edge off, and it sands it down a little bit, distresses it a little bit, and then when I add ink later, it'll take the ink a little bit better. So I'm going to do that really quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished sanding, and what I really like about the sanding part of this is that you don't have to have the paper when you put the frame to the paper and you cut it with your X-Acto knife. It's not going to be perfectly cut all the way around the edge. So when you take the sander, and sorry, my sanders are really old, I need to get new ones. When you take the sander and sand the edge, it cleans up that edge for you, and it gets rid of the uneven edge that you'll probably have. It cleans up the corners really well and everything, and then I did the inside, so it makes it clean. So the next step is to put the edge on, and I'll show you how I do that really quick. Basically, you need more Mod Podge, and you're going to have to pull out your strips that you previously cut, and what I do is I center the first strip across the top, and because I have a stripe, I'm going to try to center it the best that I can. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to try to match up these stripes down the top of the frame. Okay, you don't have to do that, but because I'm anal like that, I'm going to do it that way. So the first thing that you do is, okay, so the camera died and I don't know where it ended, so I'm going to redo this section, and I'm going to do the bottom now just to show you. And again, I'm going to line up, I want to line up my stripes. So I'm going to apply the Mod Podge. I don't need a ton of it, but I do need to cover the wood. And then I'm going to take my strip of paper, and I'm going to try to line it up as best I can. Again, if you don't have stripes, you don't have to do this. You're just going to put this on and not worry about where it's lined up. But I want my stripes to be lined up. See how I did it? I want them lined up. So, and then make sure that when you go around the corner, you get it as tight as possible so the corner doesn't pucker. Like that. This corner, just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to measure my sections, take the other strip, cut it, and put those on, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished putting the paper on the edge all the way around the frame, and then I let it sit and dry for about 15 minutes, and then I flipped it over and I sanded all the edges all the way around the frame to make it clean, make the paper clean and even along the frame. And then I went back and sanded all the way around the edge again to do kind of the same thing on the edge. So now it looks a little distressed, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my distressed ink in worn lipstick, and I'm going to ink around the edges of the frame. Just lightly, and I'm going to go all the way around the edge on the front. I'll probably go around the edge on the back, and then I'm going to do the inside of the heart. So I'll do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've used the distress ink, and I've inked all the way around the edge. I've inked around the back side too. I usually leave the back blank. If you wanted to put paper on it, you could, but I usually just leave it because I figure you don't see that side anyway. So and then what I usually do on the inside edge, you could put more paper there if you wanted. You could do the same technique as on the side, and you could put it on the inside. I've never done it. Usually what I do is I just use my distress ink that I use around the edge. I just go around and on the inside edge, and I just put the ink along that edge. So that's what I've done with this one. I did it. Okay, so here's my finished frame. I got my heart put on and my little robot down there, and they're both up on foam tape, so they have a little dimension to them. And then at the top I put the little Love Bites die cut, and that's also on some dimensional tape. And I think it turned out pretty cute.